I will give you tricks for selling anything to anyone. And these tricks work so well that some people say they shouldn't be allowed to be used. But the truth is, this is advanced sales psychology. It's about having a deep and detailed understanding of what people want and all they think, so you can use that knowledge to your advantage and sell your services more effectively. And the tricks I'm going to share are the same ones I've used to generate over $10 million in sales. They have worked for me, they have worked for my students, and they are the same strategy used by some of the world's biggest companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, or Apple. And in this video, I will show you my 10 favorite tricks to help you sell better, close more deals, and make a lot of money. So the first technique is to reverse the frame. Now, what's a frame? A frame is the context or framework within which a sale happens. And it's all the rules in a sales conversation are defined. And so when I say reverse the frame, I mean flipping the traditional dynamic. Usually there is a buyer and a seller, where the buyer evaluates the seller's offer. But when you reverse the frame, you create a dynamic when you are the one evaluating the buyer. For example, you might say, we don't work with everyone. We only work with a limited number of people. You might also say stuff like, our program is capped at 100 spots. And so this shifts the perception. Instead of the buyer thinking, what's this person trying to sell me? They start thinking, am I good enough to work with them? And so it's really powerful because it taps into something instinctive, the fear of rejection. And so the reptilian part of the brain hates being told no. So when you reverse the frame, people instinctively work harder to prove themselves, just to get a yes from you. And so in sales, I use scripts designed to achieve this. They work like what's called an anamnesis, a series of structured questions asked in a specific order. And it's a method that hypnotherapists often use to activate certain part of the brain at just the right time. And so the goal is to build trust, uncover the buyer's true needs, and make them feel understood. And you don't start by asking something intrusive like how much money is in your bank account. Instead, you focus on their challenges, what they want to achieve, and why it's mattered to them. And so this same principle applies outside of sale. Think about a date. When you are on a date, the idea is to convey that you have options. You are not desperate. You could just as easily be on a date with someone else, but you have chosen to be there with that person. And it's the same in a job interview. The strongest candidates are the ones who set the frame. They don't act like they are begging for a job. They position themselves as someone who get to choose which company they will work for. And so, for example, when I was young, I was interviewing for a position in an agency. And so 5 candidates were interviewed one after the other. And so at the end of my interview, one of the sales guy asked me, have you received any other offer? And so my answer was simple. Yes, another agency has already made me an offer and I'm in discussion with 2 more. And so that response changed everything. And so 5 minutes after I left the interview, they called me back and said, we will take you. And this is what reversing the frame looks like. You shift the dynamic. They are the ones chasing you and not the other way. And so this trick works because it's universal, whether it's in sales, dating, or interview. Framing the conversation in a way that positions you as the decision maker change everything. The second sales technique that works really well is something we call further pacing. It's about starting with the assumption that you are going to work together, even if that hasn't been decided yet, and using positive, confident language to reinforce that idea. And this is something I use in all of my sales calls, and it sounds like this. I'm going to help you personally with this. What we will do together is going to be amazing. We will fix this for you. I know we can help, and honestly, it's going to be perfect. Another sentence that I use a lot is, I can't wait for us to get started. And so that kind of language plants a seed in the prospect mind, and it creates a sense of certainty that working with you is already a done deal. And so in fact, one of the scripts I use as a section dedicated to this idea. So toward the end of the call, before we even talk about the price, we start discussing next steps. And I would say something like, once we are working together, here is what we'll do. First, we will handle X, then Y. And after the first week, you will notice that Z is no longer a problem. And it's incredibly powerful because it shifts the focus from if we will work together to how we will work together. And so by doing this, the prospect starts visualizing the outcome. And so they imagine their problem solved and they begin to see you as the person who was already helping them. And so this approach works because it taps into the brain nature tendency to follow through on a story it believes. And so you are currently essentially creating a mental bridge between their current struggle and the solution they want, with you positioned right in the middle as the guide. So the key takeaway is always assume you are going to work with the other person and use language that makes that future feels real and inevitable. And it's subtle, but it works like magic. And so the next framework is one of the most powerful tools I use. It's called permission. Permission, reason why, and question. And it's a method for asking deeper, more meaningful questions during a sales call to uncover what really drives your prospect. And so here is how it works. So let's say you are talking to a prospect and they have told you that they want to earn 50K a month. And so you could ask, how would that affect your personal life? What will it change for you? Now, even if this question is better than 99% of salespeople ask, but there is a more advanced way to approach it. Instead, you can try this. Okay, Jesse, I understand where you are coming from. Can I ask you a personal question? And so this does two things. It seeks permission from the prospect to ask something deeper, and it signals that the question will be personal, which increase what we call compliance, their willingness to answer honestly. And so by framing it this way, the prospect is more likely to give you a really authentic response rather than something surface level. And so then add the reason why. The reason I'm asking this question is because I don't just want to help you build a business that makes you money. I want to help you create a life and lifestyle that you truly want to live. And so this step is critical because it shows them you genuinely care. You are not just trying to sell. They feel that you are invested in their success both professionally and personally. Finally, ask the question, so what are your personal goals? Beyond the financial side, what do you want your business to help you achieve? What will success mean for you on a deeper level? And so this approach makes you come across as empathic and focus on their well-being, not just their wallet. And if the answer feels a bit superficial, you can go a step further. Okay, I understand, that makes sense, but is there another non-monetary objective tied to this? And something even more meaningful. There are always two layers to someone's goal. The reason that sounds good to say, and the real reason, the one that matters most to them. And so by asking these kinds of questions, you get to the heart of what they truly want, which makes the conversation much more impactful. And so this technique isn't just for sales. It works in interviews, coaching, or any situation where you need to deeply understand someone's motivation. And for example, in interviews, I often ask, beyond this role, why is this opportunity important to you? What does it represent for your future? And so by uncovering these deeper truths, you create trust and build a stronger connection. And when people feel you care about their goals, they are far more likely to say yes to working with you. The fourth framework is really similar to the third one, but it's a bit different, and it's called permissions, context, question, and decision moment. And this is especially useful for understanding why the prospect feels the need to make a change. And so this is especially useful for understanding why the prospect feels the need to make a change now. And so let's break it down. So start by setting the context. Maybe their business hasn't grown in 6 months, or they have been stuck at 100K a month for a while. And so the question is, why change now? And so if you are speaking with a less experienced buyer, asking directly like, why is this important, might work. But for a more sophisticated prospect, someone used to sales or high-level decision making, you need to dig deeper. And so here is how you can do it. You start by the permission. So can I ask you a personal question? And so this step, just like in the previous framework, signals that you are about to go deeper and encourage an honest answer. And so then you do the context. And so you ask specific open-ended question to understand their current situation. So for example, what do you do for a full-time job right now? Do you enjoy it? What's the hardest part of this job for you? How long have you been doing this? And so then you ask the question. Once you have set the context, ask a targeted question like, why after 5 years of doing this have you decided to make a change now? What's changed for you? And so here is the critical point. Don't ask what happened, instead ask what's changed. And so this subtle shift makes a big difference because it taps into the prospect emotional trigger. And so as Tony Robbins says, people make big change because of decision moment. And so during the decision moment, your goal is to uncover that exact moment when they decided they couldn't keep doing what they had been doing. And so it might be frustration, a missed opportunity, or simply realizing they are not where they want to be. And so when you help the prospect relieve that sensation moment, it creates a much stronger personal connection. And so they will feel understood and you will gain clarity about how you can help them move forward. And so this process builds trust and makes the rest of the conversation much smoother. And so when you truly understand their situation and motivations, handling objections becomes far easier. And so in the end, this framework isn't just about finding out why they want to change. It's about helping them articulate it to themselves. That's where the real power lies. The next method is this. Sell the method first, then sell the product. So here is the deal. When you are selling, you are actually making two sales. First, you need to sell the method. So the approach or strategy that will solve your prospect problem. Only after they are convinced of the method, you can really sell them on the product, the specific tool, service, or solution you are offering. And so the mistake many salespeople make is jumping straight to selling the product. But if the person doesn't believe in the method, they won't see the value in your product, no matter how good it is. So what does it mean to sell the method? It's simple. You explain why everything the prospect has tried in the past hasn't worked and why this new method is the missing piece that will finally get them the result they want. And so take the word of online marketing, for example. Russell Brunson, the creator of ClickFunnels, is a master of this. He explained that most businesses fail to get customers online because they are relying on outdated websites, which are nothing more than digital business cards. And so instead, he says they should use funnels, a structured step-by-step process to guide potential customers toward making a purchase. And so by explaining this, Russell sells the method first. And so funnels are the key to online success. And so once the prospect buys into the idea, he can sell his product. And so ClickFunnels is the best way to build funnels. Another example is the ketogenic diet, for example, in the weight loss industry. Marketers in this space often start by explaining why people can't lose weight. It's due to the insulin resistance, which prevents the body from burning fat. And so the solution, they argue, is getting the body in a state called ketosis. And so they sell the method first. Ketosis is the key to fast loss. And so when the prospect believes in ketosis, they can sell their product. And this supplement or program will help you achieve ketosis faster. And so it works because when you sell the method first, you are giving the prospect a framework to understand why their previous effort didn't work. And so this is powerful because it shifts the blame away from them and onto the method they were using. And they are not the problem, it's the approach that was the problem. And it's a subtle but crucial mindset shift. And so now they're open to trying something new because they believe the old method were flawed, not themselves. And so their approach works on two levels. On the emotional, because the method taps into the prospect desire for hope and change, and also logical, because the product provides a tangible solution that makes sense within the framework of the method. Yeah, so remember, first sell the method and then the product. When you do this, you will create a stronger emotional and logical connection with your prospect and close more deals as a result. So the sixth technique is about proof, but not just one kind of proof. It's about using 3 types of proof: living proof, social proof, and reason why proof. And so every claim you make, every promise need to be backed by these 3 forms of proof. So for example, let's say you tell someone to get result X, you need to do Y. First, you share your personal story to show that this method worked for you. That's a living method. Then you share a story of someone else who was in a similar situation. You say, I also told this to a customer who was just like you, and here is what happened. That's social proof. And finally, you explain what it works. The reason this method works is because scientific principles are experience side. And so that's the reason why proof. And so these 3 types of proof makes your claim feel solid. It's no longer just an idea, something that has worked for you, worked for others, and is backed by logic or science. And I use this type of proof all the time, even in my YouTube videos. For example, in this video, I've shared that this sales technique helped me sell over $10 million. That's the living proof. I've also mentioned that they worked for my student. That's the social proof. And I've also explained the psychology behind why these techniques are so effective. That's reason why proof. And so when you combine all 3, your claim becomes much stronger. And so people don't just hear your promise, they believe them. The 7th technique is about conviction versus technique. In sales, there is nothing more powerful than energy. Energy is contagious. It can be felt even over the phone. And the way you project that energy is through your conviction. And so here is the thing. Conviction beats everything. A salesperson with strong conviction, even if they know nothing about sales technique, will often outperform someone with highly technical but lacks belief in what they are selling. Why? Because conviction creates trust. And so now, ideally, you want to have both. You want to have conviction and technique. But if you are starting out and don't have a lot of technical skills, focus on your conviction. That alone can sweep away any doubts in the prospect mind. So when I started in sales, I didn't have much technique. What I'd had was an unshakable belief in what I was offering. And that conviction was enough to get me results. And so over time, I added techniques on top of that conviction. And that conviction became incredibly powerful. So if you are new to sales or still building your skills, remember this. Conviction is your greatest weapon. Use it to cut through objections, build trust, and create connections. The 8th principle is active listening. A lot of people think sales need to be loud, flashy, and over the top to succeed, but that's not true. In fact, the best salespeople are often calm, composed, and focused. They are not doing anything crazy. They are simply asking the best question. And so active listening is about truly understanding the person you are talking to. It's about showing them that you care. And so, for example, when someone shares something with you, respond with, okay, I understand. But can you tell me a little bit more about that? Why do you feel that way? How does that make you feel? When you do this, you are not just hearing them, you are showing them that what they are thinking about and feelings matter to you. You generally care about the other person, they can feel it. And because of the law of reciprocity, when they feel that you care, they are much more likely to care about you in return. And so the beauty of active listening is simplicity. You don't have to talk a lot, be an extrovert, or dominate the conversation. You just have to listen. And so a powerful way to show you are listening is to repeat or paraphrasing what the person is saying. So, for example, one of my favorite questions is, can you tell me a little bit more about that? This question invites them to open up and share more, while showing that you are genuinely interested. And so active listening is subtle but incredibly effective. It builds trust, strengthens connection, and makes the other person feels valued, all of which are critical in sales. The next one is pain. It's a classic. It works so well. When we try to understand pain, it's getting closer to what we are good at. And so when we try to understand pain, it's similar to what we call active listening. It's about asking a lot of questions. And it's important to do this because we want the person to face up to what they are not doing well. When someone takes a call with you, maybe they have seen a commercial or something that made them feel their situation could change, there is a part of them that wants to change. But there is also a part of them that wants to stay where they are. And it's very hard to get someone out of their comfort zone. And generally speaking, you have to confront them with their pain and make them face up to everything they are not doing. And some people are heading straight toward the wall at 100 miles an hour and they haven't hit it yet. The wall might be there 3 kilometers away, but at some point the wall will arrive. And people will start to feel it when it begins to heat up. And in some cases, the person calls you because they know the wall is coming. They are in the car, but it's too hard for them to turn the wheel on their own. And so they need a co-pilot to help them steer. And it's a bit like that. Sometimes in sales, we are there to say, go ahead, I will give you a little push to the left. Then during the call, you help them give that push to the left so they don't hit the wall. So that's when you ask a lot of questions. For example, how does it feel to get up every morning and do a job you don't like? As a man, how does it feel not to be able to help your family? How do you feel about that? Once again, we don't ask these questions to make the person feel bad. It's to help them see their situation for what it really is. That's super important. And it's your responsibility as a salesperson, as a leader, to help the person become aware of their situation. And lastly, sell a future, not a product. And this is a powerful concept. You have heard me talk about selling the method, selling the product, but this take it to one step further, selling a future. And so here are the thing. What we are selling is never just about the method or about the product. It's always about the future that the person wants for themselves. That's where they are really buying. For example, in our company, we're not just helping people get more clients. We are helping them to strive, to succeed, to show the example to their children, you know. It's not my idea. It's what really people have told me on calls. For example, last time I heard, it's important for me to set an example for my daughter. I want to show her that a woman can be independent. I want to see that a woman doesn't have to live off her husband. So in the end, we are not selling a product, we are selling a future. And so this concept applies in every niche. And for example, for a man, the future might be about becoming a better husband, someone who supports his family and is dependable when things go wrong. And so it's about being someone who set an example, someone others can lean on. And so that's the kind of future you are selling. So ask yourself, what's the future I'm selling? And so, yeah, these are the 10 techniques for selling better. And so there are no real order of importance here. There are just things that have worked incredibly well for me. And I hope this helps you as much as it helped me. And if you like this video and want to dive even deeper, check this other video where I explain how to reach 500K a month.